there, and welcome to Culinary Alchemy, and I am your alchemist, Cassie H. Today we're making Goma Anko Manju, which is Japanese steamed sweet bean buns. They are very tiny. They make these tiny little buns. They are super good and very sweet. So if you're diabetic, beware. Only eat one and not 7. So this recipe is gluten-free and dairy-free, and it's vegetarian because there are no animal products in it whatsoever, which is pretty dang cool. So ingredient-wise, I've tripled the recipe, so the stuff you see before you, like this is not a teaspoon. This is 3 teaspoons. So to begin with flour, I've got 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of flour for a single recipe. Also, 5 tablespoons of water, 4.5 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of sesame seeds, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1/2 cup of the bean paste. Now I made this beforehand because it takes like 2-ish hours plus cooling time. So we'll include a recipe for that down below in the description. Also, you'll need a rolling pin, a whisk for like 3 minutes, a spoon also for like 3 minutes, also a bowl or pot or something to cook the bean paste in briefly, and a steamer. Either a bamboo one you put on your stove or an actual steamer like I borrowed from some awesome folks. So, let's get started! We have our Anko, which we are going to put in our medium heat pot. Also, combine that with our sesame seeds and the smaller portion of water. 2 tablespoons, I'm pretty sure. Get your whisk. Basically, you're just cooking this until everything is thoroughly mixed together. Doesn't take long at all. This recipe calls for black sesame seeds. However, I'm using the white ones because that's what I had in my pantry. I didn't feel like spending an extra $10 for, 2 tablespoons of it. Sorry! Alright, fully combined. So you kill the heat. And then I'm going to put this in an 8x8 pan and let it cool down to room temperature. Probably going to grab a spatula too. For the next part, you're going to combine your sugar and your water, and we're going to microwave it for like a minute, just long enough for the sugar to dissolve in the water. Now this recipe that I read, it actually says to like mix it on stovetop. Then I realized I have a microwave oven, and that's a lot faster, and I don't run the risk of making candy, which is not the idea here. So just mix it together. Microwave this for like a minute, and then you'll be ready to make a dough. For baking powder for me is kind of difficult because every single baking powder has actually cornstarch in it. And I don't feel like paying $5 for a thing of baking powder that doesn't have cornstarch. So I make my own. And what you do to do that is you get equal parts baking soda and citrus juice, preferably lemon, but I'm using lime because that's what I have in the fridge. So for my 3 recipes of steam buns, I've got 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, lime juice, 3/4, come on, teaspoon. This makes a chemical reaction that is essentially the same as baking powder. Super nifty and so much easier and cheaper than buying the other stuff on your own. So you sift your flour just to make sure there aren't any clumps. You add your baking soda, wink wink, and your sugar water. You mix this well until it forms a dough. And try, not like me, to not let it get all over your countertop. Bad idea. Now, the traditional recipe I have says after you get it combined to let it rest for half an hour. That's because the traditional recipe calls for cake flour, which is super high gluten flour. That is super not happening in my kitchen. So you could probably just mix this together and let it sit basically until your bean paste is at room temp, which should be pretty soon, hopefully, depending on how thinly you spread it out. So, got this all combined. Let this sit to the side, and we'll check the bean paste. Alright, so when your dough's done resting, you turn it out into a floured surface, and I put some more flour on top. This is almond flour, not cornmeal, just so you know. And you knead this 10 to 20 times. And if you don't know how to knead, well, I suggest you learn. Keep your flour handy so you can keep everything nice here. And it's a very soft dough because it has no gluten, so you have to knead it very gently. With traditional flours, this is a much easier thing. Not counting, I think that's roughly 12. Once you get this all nice and kneaded, I'm going to cut this in half. That part there. All right. Now you roll this into a log. I have so much dough on my hands. Let's cut this into smaller pieces. How about that? It's like Play-Doh. Now you separate them into small dough balls about 1 inch. Pull them out. Grab some more flour. Four. And this steamer of mine here can fit 5 balls per steaming. So we'll get 6 here. So you take it, pat it out a bit, grab a rolling pin. You don't want your dough discs, I guess, very big. I've just got a small disher here for the bean paste. Put some in the center. Oh no! Form it up. Put it in the steamer. So you steam your dumplings for 8 to 10 minutes each, depending on how awesome your steamer is. I'm still rolling these out, but if you do 4 to 5 per basket, depending, again, how big it is. You pull them out. Ought to look something like that. My dough was not cooperating today. I would suggest not making this recipe in triplicate. So there you go. Goma Anko Manju, and you serve them with a glass of green tea. It's very lightly sweetened with a tiny bit of lemon juice. I hope you guys really appreciate or enjoyed this recipe. Give me a like up there, subscribe button up below. As always, I'll post the recipe down in the description. Next episode, we are filming pho, which is a Vietnamese noodle soup with a really savory broth. It's going to be awesome. So, hope you guys enjoy. See you next time. Bye!